Okay, hey there everyone. So this review will cover the 5.7 release as well as the 5.8 release, just given they were released fairly close to each other, and more or less cover features for the new agency plan. So we'll look at 5.7 first. Look at this. So the first thing we have is basically the direct billing capabilities. So now if you're upgrading to the agency plan, you can set up direct billing to your customer client can pay for the site and activate the site themselves through the admin. So basically what you can do from your portal, if you upgrade to agency, you'll see your little icon has changed, a little crown icon indicating that you're an agency. You can go into one of your trial site settings, and there will be this tab called extensions, and you can turn on a few extra features here. So the one we're looking at the moment is direct billing. Enable that, and then that site will then have the billing capabilities within that site's admin. What you're also probably going to want to do is set your commission. So here you can set for the annual and monthly subscription and your commission values on top of the standard plan prices. So you can set those to anything you like, and those prices should be reflected in the admin for that site. So to give you a little bit of an idea what that might look like, so this is just a mock-up of one of the admins, the site admin. So in the gear icon at the top, your client should see the billing item here, and clicking on that should go through to something that looks a bit like this. So they'll see the price plus your commissions. That should be the value there, and they can go through and pay with PayPal, selecting the annual or monthly. And in addition to this setup, the domain activation steps have also been brought into the admin side of things. So under the domains, so settings, domains, you can now add domains and go through the setup process, adding the records and whatnot. So your client can do all that sort of thing on their side. Okay, and next, again for agency plans, the ability to custom brand each individual site's login. So we've always had the branding capabilities under My Settings or My Details. You have your branding tab, so you can set up your logo and background image for the login. Now you can do that, basically the exact same thing for each individual site that you enable. So again, under your trial sites list, if you go to your settings, or actually this will work for live sites as well, under the extensions, and turn on granular white labeling. And then when you log into the admin for that site, just you as the partner login, under the gear icon will see custom branding, and basically you get the same interface here where you can set a different logo and different background image. The next item, again for agency plans, is the ability to invite other portal users. So if you have multiple people in your team that need to manage your sites through your portal, you can add additional team members. So again, through your portal, go to My Settings and Portal Users, and you can invite additional portal users. And pretty much I think it follows the same workflows as when you add like an admin user to a site, but there's some notes here about if the user is already a portal user to some other partner, you can't add it as well, so that you can't be a portal user for multiple partners, I guess. But take a read of the details there if you're going to look at that feature in more depth. So again, for agency plan, we have the ability to basically import and export a whole module. So the whole structure of a module, its properties, settings, its layouts, can now be basically exported, given to someone else, and then imported into either another partner's site or another one of your own sites, so you can move complete modules around more easily, or share complete modules. This is another extension that has to be enabled through your portal. So you find the trial site or live site that you want to enable this for, go to the extensions again, and import export of modules. Make sure that's ticked on, and then within that site's admin, if you go into a custom module and head to its settings page, you should see this export module, and that will export a JSON file that has all the information about how this module is set up. If you're creating, then if on another site that you've enabled this import export of module settings, you can, when you create a new module, you'll see the import button, so you can import that JSON file in and have that module set up straight away. And it goes into a lot of details about nested modules. So if you have advanced modules set up with foreign items, it even collects all those from what I'm reading here. So it goes into great detail on how it connects data sources and nested modules and all that sort of stuff. So it's really looks quite in depth. Okay, and then while we're in module settings, we now have the ability to set the default for search engine visibility. So when you're setting up a module, into the properties, under the default properties that you can set up how all the defaults work, we now have the show new items for search engine. So previously that was always turned off by default, and you'd always have to tick it on for new items. Now if you have say a blog module or something like that where you're always going to want the item to enabled for search, then you can tick that on by default, and that will happen each time an item is created. Okay, next up is the custom reports for Secure Zone members. So there's a new reports type added now. Okay. So we add a new report, and we have this contacts and secure zones, and that'll give you more information about the membership side of things. It goes into more detail here on what it's going to spit out. So you've got membership costs, the expiration date, and all that sort of stuff. Okay, and next item, shipping option price limitation. Okay, so this is just a little setting that's in your e-commerce settings. Settings under the tax and shipping. So down here, I think it is. Yeah. So this select box here. So basically, it allows you to control when shipping limitations apply. So if you have a like a promo going where you're going to give free shipping if the order's over, say, $100, you can define whether that means $100 before tax or after tax, basically. So you can change how that works. Okay. Then we have the setup primary domain to be the first canonical link in the SEO section. So when you have any sort of item, so a page, and you're on the SEO tab, you have this canonical link helper, which will go and pull up any of the domains that you have set up for that particular site. And it's just basically putting the primary domain first, so that's kind of the default when you're setting those up, just to make that content management a little bit easier. And then lastly, for the 5.7 release, there's just a bug fix for the secured uploaded files. I think there was just an issue there with being able to access them without being logged in. Okay, so we'll jump up to the 5.8 release. So again, a lot of portal stuff and agency features here. There's a little bit of a restructure with the portal. Jumping back to mine. So my settings was previously my details, and now obviously we have a few more tabs here, particularly for the agency plan. They've just split the menu here too for these external links tucked down the bottom. So it looks a little nicer. Okay, so a few newer icons. As I said, for agency plan, there's a few tabs there that won't show for other partners, and an FTP credentials tab. So not under the My Settings section here, but for each individual site. So if you go into the trial site settings or live site settings, you can now get the FTP details from there as well. Again, in the portal, the direct billing. So this is the commissions tab, which we looked at before. You also have it on a per site level as well, because you can change the commission values on a per site level. In the portal, under My Settings, the commissions here is sort of the default one, just setting up the overall default commission. Okay, it goes into a bit of detail here on how the PayPal email verification needs to work, and commission paybacks, that sort of thing. And there's just a little note here I noticed about there is a maximum commission value. Basically anything that makes the final payment, the final charge to your client over $5,000 won't work, or maybe will be denied. But basically the $5,000 limit. If you're charging $5,000 per month for your site, then you might be in trouble. And there's a heap of information here on how the fee structure is calculated for Treepl's fees, PayPal's fees, etc. So you can look into that in more detail as well. Okay, branded subdomains. So this is a cool one. Again, in My Settings, we now have this domains tab, so you can add domains to your portal, whether that's your current website domain, or you want a new, just a specialized domain for setting up trial sites under. So rather than setting them up under the Treepl domain or the trialsite.co domain, you can add your own domain name now and set up trial sites under that. So really cool for white labeling. Now I just quickly went through the process of trying to add one a little while ago. Doesn't look like it's gone through yet, but was perhaps a little unsure about something, because when you add the domain, it then gives you this page here where obviously you need to point your name servers to Treepl, and then you manage the DNS records here. So you can do that on this tab, adding records, and it also gives you this tab, which I assume is telling you what the name servers should be. So that's what I've put in for my trial domain here, and I'm not exactly sure why the SOA is listed here, because from my understanding you can't actually add that in. That's something that Treepl is going to do on their side automatically, or the domain DNS host would add. So I'm not sure if I have to add that in anywhere, but clarify that later. So anyway, I've added those as my name servers, and hopefully that'll come over. The third tab here, Treepl Sites Records. So I think this is like a summary view of all the sites that you've put under this custom domain. So I'm not exactly sure what's going to show up here. So I guess you can look here, and as a bit of a report just to find out which site you had under that. Probably helpful if you're ever going to change that domain, or something you're going to need to know which sites were using that. And then just the final note on that, for partner level resellers, you are allowed one branded domain or custom domain, and the agency plan has 3. Okay, the next one, some Bambora improvements. So to the payment gateway for Bambora, looks like there's a few different ways now you can apply the payment flow. So there's like a redirect that goes off to the Bambora checkout page, I guess. there's like a modal maybe that pops up with the payment fields, or you can do it in line like how Stripe and eWay work, I guess. So that's pretty cool to have those different methods available depending on how you want that payment flow to work. And there's also now an immediate redirect to accept setting. So it's saying here that normally once the payment's made, the customer would have to click a button to go back to the site, whereas now you can have that automatically redirect them once the payment's successful. So that streamlines things quite a bit. And some settings for language control to change the language that the payment window is in. And finally, just adding a transaction ID to the list view of the order. The next item here is an admin UI tweak for the orders listing. So when you're in a site, CRM, and orders. So apparently now this view, or this list has had some performance improvements and should load faster. I think some people are having some loading issues on this one. And then just a little bug fix on the shopping cart liquid component tag. It's just when you had a combination of the collection variable parameter and the layout parameter, whether the layout was missing or not, would show the default layout for that component when you may not have wanted it to. So that bug's just been fixed anyway. So that's working as it should do now. Okay, that's the 5.8 and 5.7 release review. Thank you.